What is up, everybody? Welcome to Pub Sports Radio and welcome to the Draftkings Picks and Prediction Show. We are here with me and Gordo, and that's about it tonight. Oh, there we got Weezy as well. What is up, everybody? We got UFC Vegas 81. We have Sodiq Yusuff taking on Edson Barboza. We have a 12-fight card, very interesting card. I'll kick it to you first, Gordo. How are you feeling about UFC Vegas 81 here?
I'm feeling good, man. I actually don't mind a few of these matchups on the slate. It seems like one where we could have a bit of fun, and there's no hiding from our DraftKings scores last week, but it fit in par. You know, since last doing a video with you guys, we had some interesting matchups, some last minute cancellation on the UFC card. The Bills lost, the Penguins lost. I don't know what's next, guys. What's going on? We're gonna need some good luck juice here, and luckily we got Melissa Dixon to do so.
Yeah, I mean, the slate was over before it started thanks to Philippe Lins. I feel like that's the second time he did that this year, unless I'm thinking of something else. Maybe. Remember, I don't know, but I feel like another fight has been canceled like after lock, and when that happens, that always sucks, especially for me because I was very exposed to that fight because he had to be. But Weezy, are you looking forward to UFC Vegas 81?
Yeah, it's not a bad card. You know, it's an Apex card. Some of these do suck, but this one's got some interesting fights on it and should be a lot of fun ones. Rodriguez versus Saaiman is an absolute banger. Dude, Elkins versus TJ Brown is going to be a really fun fight. So, yeah, I mean, I think if we look at the bright side of life here, we're going to find some fun matchups and hopefully some ways to make some money on this card.
Yes, sir. All right. Before we get started and get into, if you guys could please do us a favor, leave a like here on the video, subscribe to Pub Sports Radio. We go live every Wednesday at 9 o'clock Eastern time. Of course, we are without Monk, but Monk did give us his lineup, and we'll share that at the end of the show here. All right. Let's get into it, guys. And as always, we're going to start with the fight to target, and I will kick this one off. I think I had this as the fight to target the last time these two were supposed to fight, and it got ruined whenever Chris Tognoni, the whole stoppage situation, it was turned into a no contest, but I'm going right back to it. Edgar Cháirez, Daniel Da Silva, minus 550 for the fight. Doesn't go to decision. I think it just got hit to like minus 600 even. But yeah, I mean, it's a Daniel Lacerda fight. Daniel Lacerda fights, they finish inside the distance. They finish under 1.5 rounds. I think somebody's getting served here. I do lean towards Cháirez being the one doing the serving, but if it was Daniel Da Silva to pull off that upset, I do think it's going to be early. But either way, I think the winner of this fight scores very well, and I think this fight does finish early in the fight as well. Weezy, what is your favorite fight to target for UFC Vegas 81?
Yeah, that's definitely one you want to target, and you definitely want to target this week, in my opinion. Probably the best fight on the slate to target is Darren Elkins versus TJ Brown. Darren Elkins, since 2013, massive sample size of UFC fights. This guy is scoring 3.86 DraftKings points per minute on average. And for Brown, he's scoring 4.01. This is a great back and forth fight that should pile up points for both fighters. And whoever wins at these mid-range prices should probably score over 90 points. And I'm thinking even over 100 because TJ Brown leaves a ton of openings. Darren Elkins wrestles a ton, and so does TJ Brown. I could see reverses. I could see takedowns. I could see knockdowns in this fight. High pace, back and forth, up and down. I think it's a great fight to target this week.
Yep, absolutely. Have that one written down as well. Gordo, what is your favorite fight to target?
I love those too, man. If you got points for liters of blood lost, Darren Elkins would be champ, man. He'd be up there for sure. No, if I got to go down to number 3 on my list, we got to take the most expensive fight on the slate, Terrance McKinney versus Brendan Marotte. I'm going with the French version of his name because I get to decide on that one now. So to me, man, this is third on the list just because you have to play up to that risk of Terrance McKinney. He is by no means a safe fighter, but this fight is projected to end inside the distance because of the style that Terrance McKinney brings, man. The guy, whenever he takes a step down in competition, has been able to dispose them accordingly, and kind of like Lacerda, maybe to a better extent, in 5-minute fights, man, this guy would be insane. His cardio just falls off a cliff. His durability is not necessarily there. The problem is he's got that skill. He's got that explosiveness that against his low level of competition, he's able to succeed. He's able to go out there and get first round finishes. And I do think he's able to get one this weekend. The flip side of things, though, is if the New England cartel guy survives round 1, we know they're tough. McKinney's not always there. And that upside is there, especially at the price tag that Maia brings at 6.7. So to me, this is a fight that has a ton of variance, a ton of high scoring upside, especially with the way it's projected to end inside the distance. And if you can get to McKinney, great, because I do think he does well, but you got to give some credit to Maia just because of how streaky McKinney can be.
Yep, I think those are 3 good fights to target there. Monk, what is your fight to target for UFC Vegas 81?
Pleasure, man.
Pleasure, man. What?
Delitze.
Monk's not here. My bad. Yeah,
It's Delitze.
He's a huge Lindsay fan, that's for sure, and a Casey O'Neill fan as well, I think.
Just not
all right. No, absolutely. I'm not a fan of Murata after last weekend as well, so I guess we're even there. All right, fight to fade. I'll kick us off here. It's going to be Emily Ducote going against Ashley Yoder. It's a fight that is very heavily favored to go to decision there. Emily Ducote, 9,300. I actually don't think she's going to score like completely horrible. It's just I would much rather have somebody with some serious finishing upside, like a Terrance McKinney or even a TJ Brown, I think has more upside. Edgar Cháirez has a lot more upside. So I can't get to Emily Ducote. And then as far as Ashley Yoder, no thank you. So pretty easy fight to fade. I'm not touching either of these fighters. And it's the first fight of the card, which typically I do like to target. I just can't get to this one. Gordo, what's your favorite fight to fade this week?
I'm upset that Monk's not here because I wonder what he thinks of Spider Monkey as a fight nickname. I think it's not bad. I think it's better than what she brings to the table in the fight this weekend, if I'm being honest. Yeah. But, no, I wouldn't target that one much either. I'm also not targeting the Chris Gutiérrez versus Alateng Heili fight that much. And a lot of that is to do with the style that Chris Gutiérrez brings out of the cage. 9K, he's someone who, yes, he's got some decent power, but low volume, low activity, no grappling really to back either. And at 9K, he's someone who I don't really see going out there and having too much success, especially in a decision, right? If we go look at his past decisions, he's won fights with the score of 75, 75, 65, and 58. That's not necessarily something you want to get from someone who is at 9K, especially around the likes of, like you mentioned, Yusuff, Cháirez, and even with the Lisboas and McKinney's up top. He's not someone I like too much. Flip side of things, Alateng Heili, 7.2K. Yes, he's a big underdog. Yes, I do think he's live to score points, but he himself in his decisions, 64 points, 79 points, 70 points. This to me has the makings of a slower paced decision, especially with the way Gutiérrez likes to fight from range with his very selective and powerful shots. And if it does go that way, I do think there's many fights in this card that do outscore it.
Yep, right there with you. Weezy, which fight are you fading this week?
Yeah, both of you guys nailed it. I mean, those are the ones that I had written up. Both fights are great fights to fade. You can fade pretty much any fighter in both of those. So, yeah, I'll just, echo what you guys said. Maia, the curtain jerker between Yoder and Ducote. Not much wrestling going on there. Yoder will wrestle some, but not very effectively. She's very low percentage on her takedowns, and Ducote's got good takedown defense. And for the Gutiérrez Alateng, you got Alateng is averaging 2.25 Draftkings points per minute. And for Gutiérrez, it's only 2.71. Gutiérrez allows 2.21 and Alateng 2.27. So these guys, not only do they not score a lot of points, they're both very defensively responsible as well. So, yeah, either one of those fights, pretty good ones to stay away from, especially if you're just entering one lineup or two lineups this week.
Yeah, and those are the first two fights of the night. There's probably going to be fading them back to back from not only a DraftKings perspective, but from a betting perspective as well. Don't have any interest of playing the price tags on either.
Whoa! Sorry, Brady. I mean, right now Gutiérrez is only minus 430. So I don't know why you're saying that you wouldn't want to be on that. I mean, that is value. I mean, if you're getting this guy at less than 99% implied, you have to jump on it, right?
Yeah, I agree. If you have it, 99% implied, there is some value there. So there we go. Just a little bit. All right. So we'll move on to the fight to fade. Speaking of Chris Gutiérrez, I mean, I think it's a good fighter to fade here. 9,000 for Chris Gutiérrez, a guy with, maybe he can finish Alateng Heili, but Alateng Heili has shown to be tough thus far in the UFC, and Gutiérrez isn't really much of a finisher outside of finishing 40-year-old Frankie Edgar. I see him kind of sticking on the outside, not really a high-volume striker, zero takedown upside. It's a pretty easy fade for me. Chris Gutiérrez, 9,000. I think there's many, many better options. Weezy, which fighter are you fading this week?
Yeah, that's the guy I'm fading as well. Let me just look at the slate here and see if I can find a different one though. Well, Ducote at 9,300. That's just as bad too. And I'm sure I just took Gordo's now because it was probably on Gordo's list was Ducote and Gutiérrez. But yeah, I mean, for those prices, it's all about the price and then the potential outcome. Really, if you want to get different, you can roster Ducote. You can roster Gutiérrez because they're going to be very low owned this week. But they're going to be low owned because they don't wrestle a lot. They don't put on great paces. and their opponents are very defensively responsible as well. So, yeah, whether you're fading Ducote, whether you're fading Chris Gutierrez, those are two of the top 5 priced fighters this week that really are. I mean, you don't want to roster them over McKinney, over Lisboa, and over Cháirez, and over like TJ Brown or Yusuff this week. So,
yep, makes sense. Gordo, those two. Obviously, any other ones you stick out for a fade?
Sure, why not? Let's get deep into the list here. Honestly, this is a card where I'm being pretty selective with mine. I think there's some that you really want to target, and there's some you kind of stay away from, including this one particular fighter at 8.6K, Michel Pereira. He's someone I don't mind as a fighter, especially in this fight as well. But in my eyes, when we're looking at the way this fight is projected to play out, it's kind of like a striker versus grappler matchup, right? Petrosky, the true 185er, is going to go out there and look to wrestle at this point. And if you eliminate the wrestling points from Michel Pereira, he doesn't necessarily have that diversity in his attack to go out there and outscore the people around him. I mean, in his decision wins, he scored 74, 80, 91, 62, 85. And yes, he does have power to take advantage of the chin of Petrosky, who is coming on short notice. But with a guy who's going to potentially stifle the offense in front of you, like Petrosky's going to want to do here, it allows for a fight that maybe doesn't have the highest ceiling, especially for Pereira at 8.6K. So I'm kind of staying away from him. I think he does have a chance to win this fight, but considering the way that Petrosky's going to look to engage in this matchup, he may not have the highest ceiling.
Yep, makes sense to me. All right, Gordo, we'll stick with you then on our favorite dog of the week.
Oh, there are a bunch of underdogs to talk about. I'll probably end up taking yours here, if I'm being honest, just because there is a couple that stick out. Let's talk about, you know what, doing our favorite thing in life, and that's trusting 39-year-olds, right? Darren Elkins, 7.4K. Again, not the prettiest thing, especially with the way scar tissue has, the way that athleticism looks. But when we're talking pure DraftKings perspective and the way these people fights, Darren Elkins is a phenomenal DraftKings scorer. He brings a very, very high pace. He's going to go out there and look to break TJ Brown and do so with a ton of activity that's going to score well, especially at 7.4K. In his past few matchups when he's gone out there and had takedown success, he scored 117, 121, and 124 in his last 3 wins. Those are phenomenal scores, especially at a price tag 7.4K. The guy's gonna have the ability to go out there and reach optimal in a win. I truly do believe. Now, yes, Brown's no easy task by all means, but the win condition for Elkins scores very well, and I'm not counting him out. So yeah, so far I think he can still get it done at this age. And
yeah, you did take mine. Weezy, who's your favorite dog this week?
Darren the Damage Elkins. I think we all kind of agree here. Let me see what else. There's some good other ones out there. You know, even though he's not in my line, well, you know what? I've got him written down later. Son of a bitch. Petrosky, man. Petrosky, 7,600. You know, I don't understand this line. Petrosky's plus 170. And it's weird, right? Because there's a lot of missing information on both fighters. Pereira has never fought anybody who could grapple their way out of a paper bag in the UFC. As a matter of fact, he did get out grappled by Tristan Connolly, who was up 2 weight classes on short notice in that fight. In addition to that, Michel Pereira is moving from 170 up to 185 here. He's always the bigger guy. He's always at 170, the guy that's going to be impossible to take down because he's a head taller than you. He's wider than you. He's long. He always finds a base. But the way that Petrosky blends his wrestling and his Brazilian jiu-jitsu together is really beautiful. I mean, once he gets you down, you stay there. He advances position. He lands ground and pound, and he waits for you to open up your neck, and then he tries to get on that neck, whether it's via arm triangle or via rear naked choke. He could do it either way. So I feel like Petrosky at 7,600 has got a lot of wrestling upside this week. And that 94% takedown defense that Pereira has against non-grapplers at 170 might not look nearly as good at 185 against somebody that can legitimately wrestle like a D1 wrestler, then a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu who can keep you there and work you once you're down. So I think Petrosky at 7,600 is a great look this week.
Yeah, I'd say Darren Elkins would be my number 1. Petrosky would be my number 2. And then since I'll give another one, another live dog, I think is Edson Barboza this week. So I'm actually picking Sodiq Yusuff, but I think it's going to be a firefight. You know, Edson Barboza, this guy is no joke on the feet. And although we haven't seen Yusuff knocked out in the UFC, we have seen him dropped. He got dropped like twice against Arnold Allen. He even got hurt against Gabriel Benitez. And if Yusuff goes out there and stands and bangs with this guy, like Barboza, although 37, he will have opportunities. So, yeah, like I said, I'm picking Yusuff. I lean Yusuff, but Barboza at 7,500 I think is very lively. I agree with you guys. Petrosky 76, and then Elkins 74. Those would be my two favorite there. So some good dogs this week, I'd say. All right, what we're going to do now is we're going to get into our prize picks section here. We'll start with Gordo. What do you like for prize picks? And by the way, I think we hit all 4. I think we went 4 for 4 last week on prize picks.
I will not lie. I have not looked once. So I'm going to get my first look at the board while you guys speak here.
All right, Weezy, have you looked at the board yet?
Yeah, I definitely have. There's a couple of spots I like. The one that jumps out, though, is the bet that I jumped on early in the week that opened at plus 150, and it's now minus 105. It's the Michelle Pereira over 12.5 fight minutes. Pereira doesn't finish anybody at this level. I mean, he finished Zalim Amadaev, I think, in the last 15 seconds of their fight. He finished Danny Roberts, who just got finished by a hot shower at home and was sent to the hospital. So that probably is going to be a guy that does not finish Andre Petrosky here. And Pereira's got good takedown defense. He's elusive on the outside. He's hard to find. So I could see this fight easily going over 12.5 minutes. I've bet it on the money line, the over 2.5, and I like it for prize picks as well.
All right, taking the more on the fight time there for the Pereira fight. For me, I'm going to go with one. So my read on the Christian Rodriguez-Cameron Saaiman fight, I actually think it's going to play a decent amount on the mat. And they have Christian Rodriguez's takedown set at 0.5. And if he attempts even one, he's going to get it. Cameron Saaiman's takedown defense is trash. I mean, he got taken down by Wong Kim on the Contender Series, taken down 5 times by Kozlo. And believe it or not, even got taken down once by Terrance Mitchell. So I kind of think if Rodriguez even attempts one takedown, he's going to get it there. We saw Rodriguez take down Rob Rosas Jr. He took down Jonathan Pierce a couple times. I think in the span of 15 minutes, he can at least go out there and get one. If he wants it, it's there all day. So give me Rodriguez over one takedown. Gordo, what do you like for prize picks?
Yeah, I opened it up and there's 3 that did jump out to me. First one being the one you already mentioned there. Second one being an under on Chris Gutierrez, who we've talked enough poor things about. So let's go another one. Jennifer Maia over 80 significant strikes. It does look like a high number for a women's MMA bout like that, but in her last 4 wins, in 4 of her last 5 wins, she scored that number, over 80 strikes landed, and the one she didn't was a first round submission win. When she's going out there winning fights, she's a ton of volume. Araújo has shown that she doesn't really fight best under that high pace, and I think Maia does go out there and bring that high pace. She able to land 145 strikes against Casey O'Neill last time, 109 against Morose. I do think she gets over 80 in what is a decision win for her here.
All right, there we go. And last but not least, Monk, what do you have for prize picks? All right, Monk. So there you have it. That's what we got for prize picks. We'll see if we can get another good week. I mean, a good week last week. We'll see if we can replicate it this week here. All right, moving on. We have our favorite GPP play. We'll start with our Uncle Weezy. Who you liking this week?
For GPP, I think we're all going to have the same ones here. I got Terrance McKinney. I mean, obviously, Terrance is always a guy to target in DFS. When he wins, he scores an average of 107.63 points, and he's a minus 550 favorite to win this fight. That's probably around an 85% implied probability. Short notice opponent, making his UFC debut. Easy guy to roster with all the live underdogs this week.
Yeah, I mean, I had Terrance McKinney as well. I'll give a different one, and I think this is a solid GPP play because I think she's going to be lower owned than McKinney, absolutely. Potentially lower owned than Cháirez as well, and it's going to be Tainara Lisboa at 9,400, which is pretty expensive, but I'm actually pretty impressed with Lisboa. So I was actually impressed with her prior to the Rose Clark fight, watching tape on Lisboa outside of the Clark fight. And my one concern with Lisboa was she hadn't really fought anybody at all. So she was looking really good, but it's just she's fought complete bombs. Her going in there and beating a fighter, Rose Clark's not the best fighter in the world, but she is a UFC fighter and doing it the way she did. I like Lisboa here. She's taking on Oliveira, who I'm just not too impressed with at all. I'm not really sure why she's here other than a short notice replacement. I saw her get subbed while she was on top by an Ezekiel show. I mean, it's just a horrible look. I think Lisboa should finish her here, and I think she's going to be semi-low. I'm not crazy low, but semi-low owned up there. Gordo, who's your favorite GPP play this week?
Yeah, I wasn't as harsh on Oliveira. Like I think she could be a fun fighter, but I do like Lisboa in this matchup here. Let's go with Edgar Cháirez. 9.2K. We talked about this fight already. To me, it's whenever you have a Lacerda fight, you're going to expect a high score. And we showed last time that Cháirez is not the guy you want to go out there and stand and bang with early on. He's that Mexican brawler type, ton of power. He's able to hop on that guillotine really quickly as well. And that was after even like a slow start from Lacerda by his standards. I think we get a normal Lacerda fight. He comes out firing here. And even in that one, if that fight would have stayed the same, Cháirez would have scored 95. I think he'd even get even more than that here, getting his reads on, knocking the lights out. 9.2K first round finish is not off the table.
Yep, I like it. I like it. All right, we'll move on to our favorite cash play. Gordo, will stick with you. Who are you liking in cash this week?
Yeah, cash play is where I kind of let's go with this one. Let's go Sodiq Yusuff 8.7. It's a bit riskier of a cash play, especially considering the volatility that Barboza brings to the table. But I like his volume. He's got 25 minutes to work here. I don't think he needs all of it, but including all the volume he has, the pace he has, the ability to mix it up in the ground, put pressure towards Barboza. I do like the guy to go out there and have a lot of success. And at 8.7K, he does have a very high ceiling, in my opinion, and the ability to go out there and contend for a win. I am fearful the Barboza. Just ask Billy Q. The knees come up the middle, a bunch of that KO power, but I do think he's someone I like to target at 8.7.
I feel like we all just shared notes before the show. Like this is ridiculous. We have all the same answers. Yeah, I went with the same thing. I'll give it a different one though for cash. One guy we already did talk about, and it's going to be Darren Elkins, 7,400. I think Darren Elkins has some serious wrestling upside, control time upside. TJ Brown's takedown defense is terrible. I think Elkins is going to have the card advantage, and I like the fact that Elkins is tough as well. So I think this fight does get extended, and I can see an Elkins late finish here. 7,400. He is my favorite dog on the slate, and he is somebody I'll be playing in cash. Weezy, who's your favorite cash play this week?
It's Cháirez. Let's just hope for no contests this time around. Lacerda is allowing 113.51 points per loss in DraftKings, and Cháirez is over 75% implied to win this fight. His durability should take him past the point where Lacerda is going to be live and effective and eventually finish this fight. So, yeah, it's a pretty easy one this week. Cháirez.
All right, there we go. We're moving along. We'll move on to our favorite value play. I'll kick us off. It is somebody that I forget who touched on it. Maybe Weezy. Maybe you both did. My favorite value play this week is Andre Petroski, 7,600. I think you said it. Like this line to me, it doesn't make a ton of sense. I know Petroski's coming in here on short notice, but I think Michelle Pereira's grappling is going to be tested for the first time since that Tristan Connolly fight, a fight where he got out-grappled by a featherweight coming in on short notice. Petroski's a big middleweight here. So I feel like at the very least, this is going to be a close and competitive fight. And I think Petroski has all the grappling upside here. I think if Petroski was to win, he's going to put up a pretty big score here as well. So I like Petroski as a value play. I think this fight should be lined a lot closer. Gordo, who are you liking as far as value goes this week?
Yeah, value is a interesting one. I'm just going to take the time to talk about someone who could look hindsight value. The Russian Ronda here and Alekseeva 7.6K. Interesting one. And I don't think she's ever going to have a fight where you're like, damn, that girl should have been a minus 400 favorite, because the girl has no defense. All she does is go forward and throw with reckless abandon. But in doing so, you have the exact style you want for DraftKings, right? Someone who has no care about defense, but wants to go out there and wants to just rip your limbs off. Like, she's kind of scary, like the kind of thing. Like, she looks like Justin Bieber, but if she was on meth, like just going out there, doing everything she needs to do to get that finish, rolling for knee bars from standing position. But in doing so, she is not the most trustworthy fighter. I understand why she's an underdog here, but DraftKings wise, finish ability, fight ending intention on the feet, decent jiu-jitsu on the mat, her ceiling could be very high in this matchup.
All right, yeah, I'll actually be talking about her in the next section, believe it or not. Weezy, who you like for value this week?
I'll go with Edson Barboza. He's in a 5-round fight, and the underdog in these 5-round fights, they just tend to perform well on DraftKings because of the price savings that they open up, and they have extra time to rack up points, and that's very important. This is a great stylistic matchup for Edson Barboza. He should get to kickbox at range without getting wrestled too much, and that suits his style perfectly. And don't forget, Edson's live to KO anyone, anytime. That's a fact. So it's 7,500 this week. I think he provides a ton of value for your lineups.
Yep, I like it. All right, move on to our dart throw. I'm going with what Gordo said here. It's going to be Irina Alekseeva, 7,600. I don't think she's the best in the world, but I also don't really think Melissa Dixon's that great either. And like you said, Gordo, she's going to go out there and she's going to fight. She's going to look to take off the head of Melissa Dixon, who, by the way, is very, very hittable. And then obviously she has that submission game in her back pocket as well. I think this fight as a whole scores pretty decent. I think there's a decent upside for a finish as well. And at 7,600, I don't hate some Irina Alekseeva, although I do hate the haircut as well as the dance moves. Weezy, who's your dart there for this week?
Yeah, it was Alekseeva as well, but why not just give you the ultimate dart throw here, and that's Brendan Marolt against Terrance McKinney. Look, Terrance has got four minutes of energy, whether he's on a full camp or not, and we know how durable the New England Cartel guys are. So if this guy can just get his face boxed off and not fall down for like 4 minutes, he's gonna be live to win at the lowest salary on the board. So yeah, I mean, like Terrance McKinney. When I saw a minus 550 line on Terrance McKinney, I started laughing so hard. You know, I mean, you just don't lay minus 550 on a guy that could absolutely quit 3 minutes into a fight. And when he's facing somebody that we know is probably going to be durable. So, yeah, I mean, I think he's he's not in my cash lineup, obviously, because Terrance McKinney will be in there. But come on, man. I mean, like that's a really good dart throw for this week.
Yeah, I mean, he is the ultimate dart throw this week. Makes a lot of sense. Gordo, who's your dart throw for this week?
The other ultimate dart throw, our favorite 0-4 fighter, De Silva Lacerda. Like at the end of the day, I talked about Cháirez. Like I completely understand the risk of backing Lacerda here. Cháirez looks to be pretty tough, but every time Lacerda steps in the cage, what's his win condition? It's a round one finish, no matter what way. He's got a good enough ground game, solid enough power on the feet, and when you go out there and you have such a ceiling, he's someone you want to target at 7K. Again, not too high of exposure because I do think Cháirez wins this fight, but on the chance Lacerda does, it's going to score very well, and it's going to be exciting too. His nickname should be, "Are you not entertained?" at this point.
It's definitely always very, very entertaining there. Yeah, but really good dart throws there. I think Daniel Lacerda is definitely a dart throw, as is Marat. And I don't think those guys can be ignored. Although I do think they both lose, but they can't be ignored. All right. So what we're going to do now is get into our lineups from last week. We'll give our lineups for this week. And last week, I think was the worst we've ever done. I mean, it was pretty bad there. Let's see. In third place, there was a two-way tie between me and Weezy. We both had Grant Dawson. He scored 0. We had Philippe Lins. He scored 0. We had Montana De La Rosa. She scored 27, forgot how to wrestle. We had Johnny Munoz Jr., 35. Diana Belbita, 57. And then Kanaka Murata, 64. We scored 185.19, which was, I can't think of a worse lineup. No winners on that lineup. I mean, it was
0-5-1. Because we can't count the Lins as a loss, but we were 0-5-1, and we both had the same lineup.
What's wild is last week, it was me, you, and Gordo. We all gave the same lineup. All three of us had the same lineup. And I liked it. I felt good about it. And then,
that's going to happen again this week, I have a feeling.
Yeah, but Gordo was smart. He did change his lineup. Gordo had Grant Dawson, 0. He had Montana De La Rosa, 27. Johnny Munoz Jr., 35. Kanaka Murata, 64. Alexander Hernandez, 31. And then Diana Belbita, 57. Scoring 216.44. Gordo got second place there. And then in first place was Monk. Grant Dawson, 0. Ian Kudalaba, 0. Al Hassan, 4. Buckley, 73. Dober, 112. There we go. And then Nate Maness, 119. Good job, Monk. Monk scored 309.93. I can't think of a worse week there. But we have it this week here. It's time to regroup, bounce back. Weezy, do you have your lineup for this week?
Sure do. Up top, we got T-Rex, McKinney, and we've got Cháirez. Sodiq Yusuff in the middle there. Irina Alekseeva, whose name I have listed twice here for some reason, and that is not the line. Yeah, so I'm not putting Alekseeva in there twice. It's Alekseeva, Petrosky, and Elkins.
We have the same.
I knew it. I knew we were going to have the dude. I knew it.
You do too?
Yeah, I knew we were going to have the same lineup, dude. I knew it.
Again.
When I looked at my lineup and I saw that it was 50. Gordo, do you have the same lineup?
The same one. It's the one pulled up right now on my screen. I was counting down on my fingers as you were saying it. I'm like, there's no way.
I knew. Guys, I knew it. I'm surprised I didn't say it before the show started, but I said we're all going to have the same damn lineup. I know it because you can't leave Cháirez out of your lineup. You can't leave McKinney out of your lineup. If you put Barboza in from the main event, it forces you into, instead of having Yusuff up top, you wind up with like Melissa Dixon or something like that. So I was like, man, I got a funny feeling everyone's going to have Elkins. I got a funny feeling everyone's going to like Alekseeva for upside. Yeah, here we are again, ladies and gentlemen.
just wild. So all three of us have the same lineup. I'm not changing. Gordo, are you changing or maybe later?
Oh, I'm changing right now.
Oh, he's changing.
I got a backup for this. I got a backup for the situation.
Okay. I had no backup. I already like that lineup a lot.
I don't like my backup though. Okay. Either way, we'll stick with what we have here. So the backup lineup that I made today, time-stamped, 2:26 p.m. Terrance McKinney up top, Sodiq Yusuff, Darren Elkins, Anya Petrovsky. Those four are the same, but instead of Alekseeva and Petrovsky, I have Adrian Yanez and the GOAT, Melissa Dixon.
There we go.
Okay, there you go. And then Monk also was kind enough to give his lineup. He as well had Terrance McKinney and Edgar Cháirez, but he went completely different. He went TJ Brown, Cameron Saaiman, Viviane Araújo, and then Ashley Yoder there. And by the way, the current standings, Gordo, you are still in first, and you are in first by 57. Congrats. 35 cards in. There you go.
We'll
all
see
right.
How we do for this one. I'm definitely changing this lineup. I'll tell you that right now. I don't think I can have a good conscience, have Melissa Dixon in my lineup.
Well, I have Alekseeva, which is not.
What are we doing, guys? What's going on?
I don't know, but I'm going to stick with mine. I like it. All right. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go over to the chat and I can't freaking talk. Answer any questions we have in the chat, and we have none. No questions.
Dude, I knew when Monk wasn't showing up that nobody was going to watch us. You know, like.
No, you know what? So many people are going live right now just talking about 294 and stuff. So it's a lot of news came up and people are really excited about that. But yeah, so no questions in the chat. All good. It's going to be a short show, 30 minutes in. Just quick picks, I guess. Quick picks. Weezy, do you have your quick picks for this week?
Yeah, let me look at them here. Let me see. Refresh the page because I was on that Volkanovski page saying like, oh God, I've got to fix up like 4 fights for this card already. You know, there's so many new replacements. But for this card this week, I've got Edson Barboza, 3rd round knockout. I've got Jennifer Maia by decision. I've got Martinez by decision. I've got Petrovsky by decision. I've got Cháirez, submission round 2. I've got Rodriguez, decision, Christian Rodriguez. Darren Elkins, 3rd round submission. I can't wait for those props to open up. It will be a bet. Tanara Lisboa is Uncle Weezy's ass shaving of the week. I got her to win by decision, which I shouldn't have an ass shaving of the week winning by decision. I might have to fix that up.
You should change it to Ezekiel choke.
Yeah.
From bottom.
Dude, you want to hear something funny? I watched that fight, Brady.
Yeah.
And it was a loss on her record right before a fight that there was a draw, right? So when I watched the fight, I actually thought that it wound up being a 1-round draw because she was on top of her. It's like the round was almost over. And then the fight, they stopped fighting. And I'm like, oh, maybe it was just a 1-round exhibition fight or something like that. And I had to go back and watch. I'm like, holy shit, she tapped to that.
It was wild.
That was really wild. Outside of Alexei Oleinik, who do you see getting Ezekiel chokes from the bottom? And it's Waleska Sosa or something like that. I mean, come on. That was wild. But, Lisboa decision, McKinney submission round 1, Russian Ronda submission round 1, Gutiérrez decision, Ducote decision.
All right, I am taking, let's see here, Yusuff, round 3, knockout, Araújo, decision, Yanez, decision, Petrovsky, KO3, Cháirez, sub 2, Saaiman, a decision, Elkins, KO3, Lisboa, sub 2, McKinney, sub 1, Dixon, KO3, Gutiérrez, decision, and Ducote, decision. Gordo, what do you got for your quick picks this week?
I'm still messing around with my lineup. I got to get a bit different here, but We're taking what method? Let's go. Sorry, guys.
There you go.
Let's go Yusuff round 3 KO. My laptop is frozen. I don't even know what fights up. Co-main event is Jennifer Maia. I got Jennifer Maia by decision. There we go. It's finally loaded. Let's go Jonathan Martinez decision. Michelle Pereira decision. Edgar Cháirez round 2 submission. Christian Rodriguez decision. Darren Elkins round 3 sub. Tanera Lisboa round 2 KO. Terrance McKinney round 1 sub. Melissa Dixon decision. Alateng Heili. Let's go Chris Gutiérrez decision. Let's be honest here. And then Emily Ducote decision.
All right, there you have it. So there you go, guys. Going to kick it around. Weezy, what do you have going on for tonight? I have a feeling you're going live for Ask Weezy. Am I correct?
I am. It's one of those weeks. I'm gonna make myself available. Open up this database of stats. We got prize picks questions. We got money line questions. We got prop template questions. We got questions about what your Uncle Weezy's favorite food is or favorite beverage. I'm here to help. I'm here to answer your questions. Join me. Ask Weezy tonight, 11 Eastern Standard Time on Uncle Weezy's YouTube channel. Appreciate all you guys for watching. Let's stack cash tickets like flapjacks for UFC Vegas 81 and bathe in the blood of our vanquished Draftkings enemies. Let's go.
Let's do it. Let's do it. I'll be there, but I don't need to ask what drink is your favorite because I already know, and everybody knows it is the apple teeny, right?
Only on Amanda Hebos fight weeks, ladies and gentlemen. We've got one coming up, don't we?
You got to put an umbrella in it, right?
Damn right you do.
All right. Gordo, what are your plans for this week for some content?
Ooh, content-wise, I'm trying to finish up. I apologize for any laggy content or whatever. My video is uploading currently. So in about 20 minutes or so, my video will be live on the Plays and Fades YouTube channel. Full card breakdown, DraftKings, and betting. Best bet video will be out probably Friday morning, as well as all my premium content on Daily Fan MMA. Kind of catching up just because of Dana White Contender Series. Looking forward to getting back ahead of tape. Normal videos out earlier in the week, but we're catching up this week. And like Weezy said, you got to do the adjustments for 294 next week. I was ahead on tape. Got some more stuff to do. But no, happy to be breaking it down with you guys and wish you guys all the best luck this weekend.
Yep. I mean, I'm kind of glad DWCS is over. It's a lot of extra work there. And but yeah, I'll be going live Friday for some final thoughts, and then Saturday for best bet. We got Uncle Weezy on so far. We're going to probably ask maybe Lou as well for best bet there. But yeah, guys, thank you all so much for watching. Leave a like on your way out. Subscribe here to Pub Sports Radio, and best of luck for UFC Vegas 81. We'll talk to you guys soon. See you.